AI is easily one of the most complicated parts of making a game, and Narrative Pro 1.1 comes with all new utility AI tools so you can make AAA quality AI really easily. Today I'm going to show you how to make NPCs, give them goals, give them schedules, and even do tasks together, like meet up with each other and talk to each other. And we'll do all of this in under 30 minutes. So let's get into it. Alright, so we're here in the narrative demo level and let's begin. And in order to make AI, we need to kind of make an NPC. There are some NPCs in the demo level, but we're going to make our own here. So we'll go to new folder and I'm going to make a NPCs folder that I'll put all my NPCs in. And I like to make a folder for each NPC because NPCs usually have more than one asset. So in here, in order to make my new NPC, I'm just going to go to narrative, characters, NPC definition, and I'm going to call it Mike. And an NPC definition is exactly what it sounds like. It's basically just a definition of what an NPC should look like, what their dialogue should be, what their, what items do they have, etc. You won't need to change the NPC ID, but the NPC name you might want to, give them a last name, for example, Mike Jones. You can give Mike Jones a level range. So for example, if you put 10 as the max, Mike Jones' level will be random between 1 and 10. Or if you did say 10 and 10, that would make him always level 10 and so on. That's more useful for stuff like bandits or, random enemy groups where you sort of want to randomize their level a little bit. Allow multiple instances is an interesting setting. So let's say in your game you have, a character called King Manny. You would never want more than one of that NPC to ever spawn in at one time, right? But certain things like maybe an enemy goblin, right? Or enemy bandits, you might want multiple of them to be able to spawn in at one time. So this basically controls whether the NPC is unique or not. And if you leave it unchecked, your NPC will be unique. And your NPC will save itself using this GUID here. So you don't really need to change this GUID. You can just leave it as the auto-generated one. Dialogue is the dialogue that will play when you interact with the NPC. You do not have to have a dialogue, but I'm going to add one. So let's go to narrative, dialogue, and I'm going to call this D_Mike. And then inside of Mike now, we can actually select that D_Mike. In the next section, you can select whether Mike is a vendor. Basically, that will let him sort of buy things and sell you things. So, for a certain shopkeeper or something like that, you would want to check that. But we're going to skip over that for now. The default item loadout can be used to define which items the NPC will get. There's actually a few sort of random ones that come with narrative. I'm going to select DT armor. This is a data table that has 2 rows in it. One of the rows is an armor set and one of them is a dark armor set. So there's actually a bit of randomization, right? He might get the light armor or he might get the dark armor. You could of course modify that if you wanted Mike to always have the same armor set. It's completely up to you. So we'll go back into Mike here. I will give him that armor, so let's give him some random armor. And lastly, you need to give Mike an appearance. You can watch the video on appearances and the character creator that I'll link in the description if you want to know more about appearance assets. But long story short, there is one that comes with narrative called default player basic, and it will just make the player look like the Manny character that everyone knows. Lastly, default owned tags can be an interesting way to sort of add some state. So for example, invulnerable will make the NPC invulnerable if you add that tag to them. Busy will make it so that you can't talk to them, so it's pretty rare that you would want to add something like that to them. But you can choose to sort of give them default own tags if you want. You can also add them to a faction, and if you want to know more about factions, that will be discussed more in the combat video that I will be releasing. But essentially, this will control who NPCs see as friendly, who they see as neutral, who they see as enemies, who will they, become aggressive towards, and so on. We'll go ahead and save Mike's NPC definition now. And to get Mike to spawn in, the easiest way to do that is to add him to a settlement. Settlements are basically these actors that when you get near them, they will spawn in the NPCs, and they're managed by world partition. This is very important because if you have an open world game, you do not want all of the NPCs to all be spawned in at once. Your game would absolutely fry any computer. So the way we do it is we only spawn in NPCs that you're near, right? And we do that using settlements. So there's a settlement called main demo hall here in the demo level, and I'm going to add Mike to that settlement. You can see there's this little spawns option here, and I'm just going to add a spawn by clicking plus, and you can see it's appeared here. I'm going to give it a spawn ID, and then I'm going to select Mike from the dropdown. And I might choose to just move his spawn a little bit over here. Let's just spawn him there, that's fine. And the red arrow will show you which way Mike will be facing when he spawns in. So now if I save and hit play, you can see here is the Mike character. The best way that I can show you how NPCs work is to use a really cool developer item that we include with narrative. So if you go to Place Actors menu here, and you search for pickup, you can drag a pickup into the level. And where it says item class, you want to just search for control and select the NPC controller. And this is a special wand item that lets you sort of take control of NPCs. And it's a good way to show off sort of how NPCs work. If we hit play and pick up the wand of control off the ground and press T, it will cause our character to get the wand out. And you can see here it says to use the wand of control, shoot an NPC and then shoot any interactable object. You can actually also shoot the ground to get the NPC to walk there. But to show you how this works, I'm going to look at our Mike character and I'm going to press the apostrophe key. And when I do that, you can see in the top left corner, we have some information about the NPC's activity component. And NPCs have these things called goals. If I shoot the ground, actually I need to shoot Mike first, and you can see you selected Mike Jones. And now once I've selected him, if I shoot the ground, you can see in the top left corner, it adds a move to location goal to Mike Jones. But you'll notice that Mike is not actually moving to the location. So why is that? Well, in narrative, you need to tell NPCs what activities they are able to do. Some NPCs might be able to attack, some might not, and so on. So you need to actually grant some activities to Mike. Right now, he doesn't actually have any sort of activities that he can do. So we'll close the game and we'll go back into our Mike NPC definition. And you can see that under activity configuration, you can actually select this default one that we include with the plugin for you. And this one's pretty good. It has a lot of activities already added to it: attacking, moving, investigating, interacting, and so on. The narrative AI system is actually extremely simple, but very, very powerful, right? So these are all the activities that you can do: attacking, investigating, and so on. And activities will be chosen based on which goals you have. So for example, if an AI saw another enemy, that would create an attack goal. And you can actually see here, we have the ability to attack. We've got this attack activity here. And you can see that it has supported goal type, goal attack. So basically what we're saying here is, if the NPC gets an attack goal, we should launch this attacking behavior. This approach is known as utility AI, and it's very scalable, but it is just built on behavior trees. So you don't have to worry too much. It's not that confusing or different to how you've worked with AI before. So now that we've granted Mike those activities, if I shoot Mike in the level again, this should actually work. I'm going to take the wand here, I'm going to get it out. You can see if I shoot Mike to select him, and then I shoot the ground, I'll press the apostrophe key just so I can see that it's working this time. You'll notice this time when I shoot the ground, it adds the goal, and the goal is actually highlighted in yellow. And that's showing us that Mike has actually selected this goal. He's actually doing this goal. You can also see that the goal has a score. And basically, the highest scored goal is the one that Mike will do. So if Mike saw an enemy right now, that goal might have a way higher score of like 3. And so Mike would go and attack the enemy instead of moving to this location. So the scoring is basically just a way for NPCs to select the goal that's most important to them. This approach is called utility AI, and it might seem a little confusing at first, but actually it scales really, really well, and you can add way more complexity and activities, and it's all sort of discrete and manageable. Another thing that you can do, so you can shoot the ground to add a move to goal to Mike, you can actually also shoot interactable objects like this chair here, and you can see that the slot has become yellow because Mike has targeted this chair. And this is using the interaction slots system that comes with Narrative Pro. It's our own implementation of smart objects that handles networking and AI and stuff like that. And yeah, it's really cool. You can shoot the ground again to change his goal. You'll see his goal changing. Let's try and set Mike up as a follower. This is a very common thing that you'll often want to do in a game. We're going to open up Mike's dialogue here, and in the speakers section in the details panel, just add Mike as a speaker. And now Mike can sort of say things in this dialogue. I'm just going to select Mike here. Drag down and add a line for him. And we'll just say, hey, I'm Mike. And this video is not going to really cover dialogue. That will be covered in the dialogue quick start guide. But we're going to say in the player here, come with me. And we want Mike to follow our player when you select that option. To do that, just come down to Events, add an event, and there's one that comes with Narrative Pro, and it's called Add Goal to NPC. And this will let you add a goal to any NPC that you like. Because we want Mike to follow us, we're going to add a follow goal to Mike, so just select follow character. And then if you expand that, you want to select the character that Mike should follow. So you can make Mike follow another NPC if you wanted to, but I'm going to make him follow our player by clicking on CD player. And you can even set the score to be really high, and that would make it so that Mike would be more likely to follow our player because this is a really high scoring goal. So even if he has other goals to do, he's more likely to select this one, but I'm just going to leave that as 1. Lastly, you need to add Mike as an NPC target, right? This is basically saying, who are we adding this goal to, right? You can make it so Mike followed you, but you could also make, Seth follow you as well. You could add a bunch of NPCs in here, but I'm just going to add Mike. And we'll compile, save, and hit play. So this time when I run up to Mike and talk to him, he says, hey, I'm Mike. We can say, come with me. And check it out. Mike is now sort of following us. And if I press the apostrophe key, you can see that he has that follow goal, right? He has a goal to follow us. Pretty cool. And if you wanted Mike to stop following us, we could come back into our dialogue here and add another player response. We'll just say stop following me for the text. And this time we want to add an event. Remove follow goal. And we want to remove CD player from Mike. So he stops following us basically. We'll compile, save, and try this out. And we'll talk to Mike. We'll say, come with me. And you can see this time, because we've got that remove thing, it's actually got some hint text on it. So you can actually see by default, it says remove follower. You could remove that text if you wanted to, but I'm going to click stop following me. Check it out, he's no longer following me. And actually, you can see that after a little while, he returns to his spawn. You're probably wondering why he does that. The reason for that is because if you go into his activity config, you can see fullback activity is set to return to settlement. The reason you'd want to do this usually is, you can imagine Mike, imagine if he went and had, he attacked another enemy way out in the distance over there, and then he kills the enemy and he no longer has an attack goal. He doesn't just want to stand out there, you want him to return back to his spawn. And so that's why we've selected that as the fullback activity. You could change that if you wanted to. But yeah, it does kind of make sense, right? In most games, like if Mike comes with you and we go on a big adventure, you want him to sort of more or less go back to where he's supposed to be when he's done. There's a little built-in delay as well, just to make it not so obvious, and then he goes back to where he's supposed to be. Now in the demo level here, if we look at this NPC, this is Nirvana, and Nirvana is set up as sort of an example of showing you how schedules work. you can see if we look at Nirvana in the top left corner, we can see Nirvana's scheduled tasks. There are 4 of them, and currently Nirvana is interacting with the anvil. You can see that Nirvana will stop interacting with the anvil at 7 p.m. Now I could sit here and wait until the time of day hits 7 p.m, but if you're in the editor, you can actually use the console command advance time and then input the amount of time you want to advance. So 200 would be 2 hours. And you can see, there we go. You can see it's now past 1900. Nirvana has stopped doing that and is now just returning to their sort of default area, right? You remember that return to settlement thing. And you can see it's going to hit 2200, and that's when Nirvana will have the new interact with bed task. So if we wait until 2200 here, you can see, there we go. You can see the interact with bed is highlighted. Nirvana will actually get into the bed. And there you go. So let's try adding a schedule to Mike. We're going to go into our Mike folder. We will go to miscellaneous, data asset, and search for schedule. And there's a settlement activity schedule. I think settlements we'll discuss at the end. Basically, settlement activities are activities that multiple NPCs do together. So imagine you have 2 NPCs and they want to meet at the coffee shop at 9 a.m. and talk with each other. You'd want to use a settlement activity because it kind of has more than one NPC being added as a target. But in our case, we're just going to give Mike a schedule. So we're going to select NPC activity schedule. And we'll say schedule underscore Mike. We'll open that up. And schedules and settlement schedules are relatively early, and there's something that we want to build on more as we sort of go forward. But let's just keep it really simple. Let's just say that between 8 and 12, Mike should sit on a chair. So I'll click on this chair here. I'm going to hold Shift and Alt to drag out and duplicate the chair. And we do just need to make sure that we go to the GUID here and regenerate the GUID because each chair needs to have its own unique GUID. And then inside of Mike's schedule, we'll add an interact goal. And you simply give it the stable GUID, which is this thing here. Now, in the next version of narrative, you'll actually be able to have a drop down and you'll be able to select any actor you want. At this stage, you unfortunately have to use the GUIDs for now, but we hope to have that changed in the next version. It's just something we're finishing up. And then what we're going to do is we're going to input the start and end time. So we'll do 800 to 1200. You can also override the score if you want. Anywho, we're going to go into the Mike asset and we're going to search for Mike schedule and select it. And now if we go into the editor, Mike should have a schedule. We can look at Mike, press the apostrophe key, and we can see that from 800 to 1200, he is going to be sitting on the seat. And so let's just skip forward a bit of time. So we'll advance time 800, let's say. Actually, we need to do a bit more than that. And any moment now, Mike should begin that scheduled task. And you can see, there we go. Now he's interacting with the seat. That interact goal has been added. He's sitting down on the seat, and everything is looking really good. Okay, I'm going to show you how to make a settlement scheduled task. These are a little bit more beta. We wanted to get them in this release just to have them in there, but you know, there's a little bit more work to do on these. We want to add, you know, a little bit more randomization and a little bit more power to them. But settlement schedules allow you to have scheduled tasks that sort of affect more than one NPC. You know, for example, at 5 p.m. you want, you know, 3 NPCs to meet each other at the bar and have a conversation. That would be part of the settlement schedule, right? Because a settlement schedule can take control of multiple NPCs and make them do stuff, whereas an NPC schedule just makes that NPC do stuff, if that makes sense. So whenever you want multiple NPCs to do something together, you probably want a settlement schedule. We're going to go into the content folder. I'm just going to make a settlement schedule. So we'll go to miscellaneous, data asset. And if you search for schedule, we can make a settlement activity schedule. And we'll just say SA, you know, test. Something like that is fine. Open it up. Settlement activities can have multiple scheduled activities. You can technically subclass the settlement activity and have any settlement activity you want. So like at 12, you might want a building to just fall down or something, or you might want a street lamp to turn up. You can sort of make these do whatever you like, but this is the one that actually comes with narrative out of the box. It's called run settlement activity. And this is the one that makes NPCs meet up and sort of do things together. So let's try and make Mike meet up with Seth and talk with him at, let's just say, 1400 to 1700. We'll make it a pretty high scoring thing, so we'll make it 3. And then you need to make a settlement activity. So, you know, NPC activities are like attack, go to location, and so on. Settlement activities are activities that involve more than one NPC. If you search for settlement activity, you can see there's one that we've implemented already. It's called meet at location and talk. So this is a really good one if you want to sort of learn how these settlement activities work. You can search for meet at location and talk. And it's actually pretty simple, right? You can see the meet at location and talk settlement activity. What it does is it just waits for all of the NPCs to get to the right location. And it does that by using this function here. Basically just checks that all the NPCs have reached their activity goal. So you can sort of look at this and sort of get some inspiration from how this one was made. But we're just going to use it. I'm not going to go too deep into the code for this. So to get Seth and Mike to meet up and talk, we're going to go to Blueprint class, meet at location and talk. We'll call it BPSA, Seth, talk with Mike. Open it up. And it wants a dialogue for Seth to have with Mike. So we need to make that. We'll go into the Mike folder and duplicate this Mike dialogue. I'm going to call this Mike and Seth. I'm going to add another speaker to it. I'm going to add the Seth one. There's actually 2. That should be fixed in a newer version. That's not supposed to be in there. You want to use this one here, not the one that says AI demo, but that top one. And now you can sort of set up Mike's conversation with Seth. So we'll just say, hey, Seth. We'll keep it very simple. Hello, Mike. Compile and save. And what I've done is I've just dragged 2 player starts into the level. Player starts are very good for figuring out where a certain NPC should go stand. So this is where I'm going to have Mike and Seth talk to each other. So I'll have Mike stand here. So I'm just going to copy that location. Add an NPC target inside of my Seth talk with Mike. I'm going to say Mike. Move to destination. And for the destination, we're just using the location of that player start. And then we'll add another NPC target. Seth. Move to destination. And this time we're just using the location of that other player start now. So I'm just going to paste that in as well. Compile and save. And then finally, up the top where it says dialogue to start, I'm going to select the Mike and Seth one. So what this is going to do is the settlement activity is going to send Mike and Seth to those locations, and then it's got that code built into it so that when they get to the location, it'll kick this dialogue off, and that's basically it. So yeah, quite a bit to that. But now if we go back into our settlement schedule, we can run a settlement activity, and we can just select the one we just made, Seth talk with Mike. And you know, you want to put in when you want this to happen. So let's make it go from 3 until 8 p.m. With all that set up, if we come to our settlement, we use the settlement schedule that we made. which is scheduled to make Seth talk with Mike at 3 till 8. Let's actually try this out. I might set the score override to be sort of 4, just make it a lot higher, just to make sure it overrides Mike's existing goal to sit on the chair. There you go. You can see they're meeting. They're talking with each other. I did actually lose control of my character, and that's because I didn't make the dialogue a free movement dialogue. That's generally what you'd want to have. And you can see that the scheduled task is ended. They're going back to where they came from. You can see even though it's supposed to end at 8, the reason that it's ended early is because this settlement activity, it's set to end when the dialogue ends. So it's not actually running anymore. And you can see it's not running anymore because if you press the apostrophe key, you can see neither Mike or Seth actually have the task to meet at the location. But there you go. Very, very simple. If you wanted to fix the movement problem, just open the Mike and Seth dialog up. And in the details panel here, just click the free movement checkbox, and that will make it so that the dialogue is actually free movement. You can see I've checked that box for free movement, and you can see it's about to hit 5, and you can see that both our NPCs have their move to location goals added to them, and the settlement activity, once they both reach their destinations, will run that dialogue. You can see they're talking to each other, and the settlement activity will end the activity when the dialogue ends, and because it's a very short dialogue, you can see it's ended, and they're now both running their sort of default activity, which is just to return to their spawns. So I know that's a really simple example, but, you know, actually pretty effective, right? You can sort of make NPCs go somewhere, talk to each other, and so on. This is certainly a system that we want to build on more and have some really good functionality and a little bit more richness in future releases, add some randomization and stuff like that. But nonetheless, it's pretty cool that you can do this right out of the box. Thanks for watching. That's going to be it for this video on AI. One thing that I didn't really cover is getting AI to do certain things during quests, right? During quests, you might want an AI to follow you to a certain location, or you might want an AI to fight a boss with you. I'm going to cover that more in the Quests Quick Start Guide. However, if you search for the narrative demo quest, the one that you can play in this level, you can actually open that up and have a pretty good look at how we've set AI up. One of the easiest ways to do it, in my opinion, there are actually multiple ways to control AI during quests, but you can see we add these events. You can add them by double clicking on quest states, and this one already has one. And literally we're just using this add goal to NPC function. You just give it the NPC you want, and then we've got these instanced NPC goals. If you click on this one, this is telling Seth to move to the weapon store. If you expand it, literally it's just a move to destination goal, and it's got the coordinates of the weapon store, and that makes a move to the weapon store. So if you can't wait for that quests video, this is kind of how you control NPCs, and you can use this demo quest as a sort of an example of how to set something like that up. So that's a good way to sort of learn how to control NPCs in the context of quests. And yeah, otherwise just wait for that quests video and we'll go more in depth into how to do that. But yeah, thank you for watching. If you need any help, we'll always be around in the Discord. The link will be in the description. And good luck with your NPCs.